Are you ignoring the universe? How to recognize cosmic signs. Part 2. Spiritual isolation and the dark night of the soul. Here's something that catches almost every awakening person off guard. As spiritual growth deepens, loneliness often deepens with it, at least temporarily. This phenomenon, known as spiritual isolation, is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is, paradoxically, one of the clearest signs that something has gone profoundly right. When a soul begins to awaken, it naturally starts to outgrow certain relationships, environments, and belief systems. And the people who were once a perfect fit can suddenly feel like strangers. The late spiritual writer Henri Nouwen observed that genuine maturity involves moving from illusion to prayer, a process that often requires releasing old attachments before the new can arrive. That gap between the old life and the new one, that awkward, lonely, disorienting in-between, is actually a sacred, energetic portal, and recognizing it as such changes everything. During this period of spiritual isolation, the universe tends to increase the volume of its signs. Dreams become more vivid, synchronicities intensify, the inner voice, the higher self, speaks more loudly and more specifically than ever before. This is precisely the moment when many people tragically turn back, mistaking the discomfort of transformation for evidence that the spiritual path isn't real or isn't working. But those who stay, who lean into the silence rather than flee from it, discover that the isolation isn't emptiness, it's preparation. The universe is clearing the field, making room for relationships, opportunities, and a version of life aligned with the soul's true calling rather than its conditioning. A practical anchor during this phase is to begin a daily practice of journaling the signs, not analyzing them obsessively, but simply recording them. The numbers, the dreams, the gut feelings, the unexpected encounters. Books like The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho or The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle serve as extraordinary companions during this period because they normalize the experience of being between worlds, neither fully in the old life nor fully in the new one. The person who reads The Alchemist during a season of spiritual isolation will likely feel as though Paulo Coelho wrote it specifically for them. And that feeling itself is a cosmic sign. Because the universe doesn't just speak through numbers and dreams, it speaks through the right book landing in the right hands at exactly the right moment. A truth that leads directly into one of the most unexpected channels of cosmic communication. Other people. People as cosmic messengers. One of the most extraordinary ways the universe delivers its messages is through human beings, strangers, old friends resurfacing, or even difficult people who show up precisely when the most important lesson needs to be learned. Spiritual traditions across cultures describe certain connections as angel-guided, bonds that don't crash into life, but ease in, settle the nerves, and feel strangely familiar, as if the two souls have met before. These aren't romantic fantasies. They're energetic realities, and they tend to arrive at hinge points, the moments in life when a person is questioning everything, standing at a crossroads, or finally ready to receive what they've been asking for. The signs around these connections are usually unmistakable. Synchronicities multiply, intuition sharpens, and conversations seem to answer questions that were never spoken aloud. Recognizing a cosmic messenger requires one thing above all else: the willingness to be present enough to notice. Not all cosmic messengers arrive with warmth and comfort, though, and this is where the teaching gets genuinely rare. Some of the most pivotal souls in a person's journey are the difficult ones. The colleague who pushes every button, the relationship that breaks them open, the mentor who sees potential they refuse to see in themselves. Spiritual growth teaches that life is not happening to a person but for them, and when that lens is applied to difficult people, something remarkable shifts. Instead of resentment, there's curiosity. What is the universe teaching me through this person? That single question has the power to convert years of bitterness into months of breakthrough, because every difficult person is, on some level, a custom-designed teacher sent by the universe at exactly the right time. The real test, however, is whether a person can maintain enough inner stillness to recognize these messengers in real time, rather than only in hindsight. Most people look back years later and realize the cosmic messenger was right in front of them all along, but they were too distracted, too defensive, or too attached to their own narrative to receive the message. This is why every serious student of spirituality eventually arrives at the same non-negotiable practice, the one that all the great teachers, from Rumi to Deepak Chopra, agree is the foundation of everything else. It's the practice that opens the spiritual vision wide enough to catch what the ordinary, busy mind was designed to filter out. And it begins not with a grand ceremony or an expensive retreat. It begins with something so simple it almost seems like a joke, until a person actually tries it. The practice of receiving. Learning to meditate. Here is the quiet revolution that most people are not ready for. The ability to receive cosmic signs is directly proportional to the ability to be still. When a person learns to truly meditate, not the performative app-gamified version, but the genuine practice of sitting in silence and observing the mind without judgment, the universe's communication becomes almost deafeningly clear. Spiritual coach Lumi Pelinku puts it with striking precision. The silence that you invoke will enable you to clear away the external influences, and there will be more ease in your life. That ease isn't passivity, it's attunement. It's the difference between trying to hear a whisper in a crowded concert hall and hearing it in a quiet room. A beginner doesn't need a meditation cushion, a Himalayan singing bowl, or an hour of free time to start. Start with 5 minutes. Literally just 5. Sitting in a comfortable chair, eyes closed, breathing slowly, and noticing what thoughts arise without chasing any of them. Apps like Insight Timer offer thousands of free guided meditations specifically designed for spiritual awakening, and books like Wherever You Go, There You Are by Jon Kabat-Zinn offer an entirely secular, grounded entry point for skeptics. Within days of consistent practice, something begins to shift, not dramatically, but undeniably. The signs that were always there become more visible, the intuition sharpens, and the once chaotic inner landscape begins to settle into something that feels, for the first time, like inner peace. The deeper a meditation practice goes, the more a person begins to experience what mystics across centuries have called the higher self. That vast, calm, wise dimension of consciousness that exists beneath the personality, beneath the ego, beneath the noise of daily life. This is the part of the soul that already knows the answers, that has always known the answers, and that has been quietly trying to communicate them through every sign, every synchronicity, and every gut feeling that was ever dismissed. When someone finally sits still long enough to hear it, the experience is often described as a homecoming, a recognition rather than a discovery. That recognition is the true beginning of enlightenment, not a distant, mystical state reserved for monks and sages, but a living, breathing reality available to anyone willing to slow down long enough to receive it. And once that connection is established, one question becomes impossible to avoid. Now that the signs are clear, what does a person actually do with them? Transformation, from signs to action. Receiving cosmic signs without acting on them is like receiving a map and refusing to move. The universe communicates direction. It doesn't carry anyone there. The entire point of spiritual awakening, the 7 symptoms of transformation, the synchronicities, the angel numbers, the cosmic messengers, all of it, is to catalyze action aligned with the soul's highest calling. And yet this is exactly where most people stall. Paralyzed between the life they know and the life the universe keeps pointing toward, caught in a loop of signs without the courage to let those signs reorganize their reality. The difference between those who awaken and those who merely become interested in awakening is action, specific, grounded, soul-directed action. What does that action look like in practice? It looks like the person who keeps dreaming about painting and finally signs up for a class instead of waiting until the timing is right. It looks like the individual who has received every sign pointing toward leaving a toxic relationship, the gut feeling, the repetitive numbers, the cosmic messenger who said exactly the right thing, and finally makes the call. It looks like someone committing to a daily gratitude practice, beginning with 3 specific things each morning, not because a book told them to, but because the universe delivered the same message through 5 different channels until they couldn't ignore it anymore. True personal growth isn't measured in meditations completed or books read. It's measured in the moments where someone chose alignment over comfort, soul over habit. Every step in that direction doesn't just change the individual's life. It sends a signal back to the universe that the channel is open, the receiver is ready, and more can be sent. The journey of recognizing and responding to cosmic signs is, at its core, the journey of becoming the truest version of oneself, and that journey never really ends. It deepens, it expands, it surprises. Each layer of self-knowledge peeled back reveals another beneath it, richer and more luminous than the last. And the universe, patient and precise as ever, keeps showing up with the next sign exactly when it's needed. This is the gift hidden inside every coincidence, every unexpected encounter, every dream that lingers long after waking. The universe isn't indifferent, and it hasn't forgotten anyone. It's simply waiting, with infinite patience and remarkable creativity, for each soul to look up from the noise and finally, say, "I'm listening." The call to elevate your soul. Everything shared here. The synchronicities, the angel numbers, the energetic hypersensitivity, the spiritual isolation, the cosmic messengers, the practice of stillness, the call to action, points to a single, undeniable truth. The universe is always communicating, and every soul has the capacity to receive. The only question left is whether someone is willing to do the quiet, courageous, deeply personal work of tuning in. Will they choose presence over distraction, consciousness over comfort, and the truth of their higher self over the familiar weight of who they've always been told to be? Because here's what's at stake. A life lived fully aligned with the soul's calling, with inner peace, genuine connection, purposeful transformation, and the electrifying sense that the universe is not just vast and indifferent, but intimate and on their side. Now it's time to ask the real questions, the ones that only you can answer. How many signs have you already received and brushed aside? What would your life look like right now if, a year ago, you had acted on that feeling you couldn't explain? And what is the universe trying to tell you today that you're still not quite ready to hear? Don't let another sign pass unnoticed. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because what comes next goes even deeper into the spiritual portal that every single one of these signs is pointing toward. The real awakening has only just begun.